Dyatlov Pass Incident -9, hikers dead in the snow. But what really happened? Welcome back to Echoes from Tomorrow, where the line between fact and fiction fades, and the truth echoes through time. If you're drawn to the unexplained, the forgotten, and the forbidden, subscribe now, because what you're about to hear is not just a story. It's a real mystery that has baffled the world for over 60 years. February 1959, 9 young hikers, all experienced, set off on a skiing expedition deep into the frozen wilderness of Soviet Russia. Led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, they aimed to conquer the Ural Mountains, one of the most unforgiving terrains on Earth. They never came back. Weeks later, search parties stumbled upon their campsite, and what they found shocked even the most hardened investigators. The tent had been slashed open from the inside, as if the hikers had fled from something. They feared more than the freezing cold. There were no signs of a struggle, but footprints led away into the snow, barefoot, in temperatures below -30 degrees Celsius. 2 bodies were found near a makeshift fire, dressed only in their underwear. 3 more were discovered in the snow-frozen mid-run, as if escaping something unseen. And months later, the rest were found deep in a ravine, with injuries no human should sustain. Crushed skulls, broken ribs, 1 woman missing her tongue and eyes, and no trace of external wounds, as if something had crushed them from the inside. Was it a tragic accident? A secret Soviet experiment? Something paranormal? Or something far worse? This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident, one of the most chilling real-life mysteries of the 20th century. Pause, no. And tonight, we try to piece it together. Make sure your headphones are on, turn the lights down, and let's begin. On January 27, 1959, 10 hikers, 8 men and 2 women, began their trek toward the remote Kholat Mountain in the Ural Range. They were all students or graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Young, skilled, and determined, they had completed many similar journeys before. This was supposed to be routine. The next day, one hiker, Ryuden, fell ill and turned back. He would become the only surviving member of the Dyatlov expedition. Pause na, Johakwa. The remaining 9 pressed forward into the icy wilderness. The ascent to Death Mountain. By February 1st, they reached the eastern slope of Kholat Syakhl, translated by the local Mansi people as Mountain of the Dead. Due to worsening weather, the group deviated slightly from their planned route and decided to set up camp on the exposed mountainside, rather than move downhill to a forested area. No one knows why they made that decision. Maybe they wanted to challenge themselves. Maybe they wanted to avoid losing altitude. Whatever the reason, that tent would be the last place any of them was seen alive. The silence begins when no message arrived on February 12th, the expected day of return. One panicked. Delays in such expeditions were common. But as the days passed and no word came, families grew worried. By February 20th, a volunteer search party was organized, joined later by the military and police. What they found was a scene frozen in horror. The tent. On February 26th, searchers discovered the group's tent half covered in snow, eerily silent. It had been sliced open from the inside. Their belongings, boots, coats, supplies, were all neatly arranged, untouched. It was as if they had fled in a panic, leaving behind everything they needed to survive. footprints in the snow told the next part of the story. They led downhill toward a nearby forest, some wearing only socks, others completely barefoot. In sub-zero temperatures, the first bodies at the edge of the forest beneath a tall cedar tree. Searchers found the first two bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonishenko. They were in underwear, barefoot, and lying near the remains of a small fire. The tree above them had broken branches, suggesting someone had climbed it, maybe to look back toward the tent. Nearby, pieces of skin were found in the bark, as if someone had desperately tried to escape or signal for help. The trail of the dead. 3 more bodies were found between the tree and the tent. Igor Dyatlov, Zinedar, and Rustam Slobodin positioned as if crawling back toward the campsite. Slobodin had a fractured skull, but investigators claimed it wasn't fatal. They likely died of hypothermia, trying to return. The ravine discovery. It took 2 more months before the final 4 hikers were found. They were buried under 13 feet of snow in a nearby ravine. These bodies told a darker, more terrifying story. Ludmila Dubanina was missing her tongue, eyes, and parts of her lips. Her ribs were broken. Semyon Zolotaryev and Alexander Kalavit also had shattered chests, as if they'd been hit by a force stronger than a car crash. Yet there were no external bruises, no wounds. Their skin was intact. One hiker was wearing clothes from the others, implying the first to die had their garments reused by the survivors. Some clothing even tested positive for radiation. The official investigation, and more questions. The Soviet investigation concluded in May 1959 with a vague statement: the hikers died due to a compelling natural force. That was it. No one was blamed. No real cause was given. The files were sealed, rumors were silenced, and the site was left alone. So what really happened? 9 experienced hikers flee their tent in the middle of the night. Some freeze to death. Others die with crushed bones and no visible wounds. One loses her tongue. Radioactivity, strange lights in the sky, sealed documents, and a government that gave no answers. To this day, no theory fully explains what happened on that mountain. So what really happened on the slopes of Dead Mountain? Why did 9 young hikers, disciplined, experienced, and well-equipped, suddenly abandon their tent and plunge barefoot into a frozen wilderness? Over the decades, dozens of theories have emerged. Some scientific, some conspiratorial, some impossible to classify. 1. Avalanche theory, the official explanation. The most accepted explanation for a long time was an avalanche. According to this theory, a sudden snowslide buried part of their tent, triggering panic, fearing another collapse. The group slashed the tent to escape quickly and fled into the night. It makes sense at first glance, but here's what doesn't add up. The tent was still partially standing. There were no signs of a massive snow shift in the area. The footprints were visible for hundreds of meters, something that would have been erased by an avalanche. And then there are the injuries. Some bodies were crushed internally with no external trauma. Not typical avalanche damage. Could it have been a rare type of slab avalanche? Recent computer simulations suggest it's possible, but not conclusive. 2. Soviet military involvement, the cover-up theory. This theory points to something far darker. That the hikers accidentally stumbled into a top-secret military test. Some details fuel this suspicion. Strange metallic fragments were reportedly found near the scene, never officially explained. Several bodies had signs of exposure to radiation. Documents related to the case were classified for decades. One idea suggests parachute mines being tested nearby, a type of airborne explosive that could explain the blunt force trauma seen on the bodies. Others believe they may have witnessed something they weren't supposed to and were silenced. But again, no blast patterns, no burn marks, and no solid evidence. Just silence. 3. Infrasound. The sound that drives you mad. A newer scientific theory suggests the group was affected by infrasound, low-frequency sound waves below the range of human hearing. The tense location on a mountain slope could have produced a natural phenomenon called the Karman vortex, street generating powerful infrasound waves. These waves, some scientists say, can induce irrational fear, nausea, hallucinations, and panic. In theory, the hikers were overwhelmed by an unshakable sense of dread. They fled the tent in terror, disoriented, barefoot, into the night. Some froze. Some fell. Some never made it back. It's elegant, scientific, chillingly plausible, but it still doesn't explain the extreme internal injuries, or the missing eyes and tongue. For aliens, the visitors from above. Now we cross the line into the unknown. Several reports from nearby hikers and local tribes describe strange orange lights in the sky the night the Dyatlov group died. Bright spheres hovering silently, moving in unnatural ways, observed by multiple witnesses, even documented in official reports. Could the hikers have seen something? Or someone they weren't supposed to? Some claim the injuries resemble high-intensity pressure or radiation, possibly from alien craft propulsion or weaponry. The missing tongue and eyes, consistent with surgical extraction, not animal scavenging. It sounds insane, but after decades with no real answers, insanity becomes an option. 5 paranormal forces. The cursed mountain. And then there's the supernatural. The mountain itself, Kholat, Mountain of the Dead in the Mansi language. Local tribes long considered it sacred, dangerous, a place of bad spirits and curses. Some believe the hikers disturbed something ancient, a portal to another dimension, a cryptid or unknown creature, an entity that drove them insane. This theory ties in with the strange behavior, the sudden fear, the abandonment of shelter, and the bizarre, unexplained injuries. No real proof, of course, but the silence, the symbolism, and the fear are real, a puzzle with no pieces left. The Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the most haunting mysteries of the 20th century. 9 hikers entered the mountain. None came back alive. We have photos, journals, footprints, injuries. We have evidence, and yet, no one has ever put the pieces together. Maybe it was nature. Maybe it was a secret. Maybe it was something not meant to be understood. What do you believe happened that night? Let us know in the comments. Your theory might be the one we've all been waiting for. Over 60 years have passed since 9 young hikers vanished into the snowdrifts of the Ural Mountains, and yet the Dyatlov Pass Incident still refuses to rest. Every time we think we understand, something doesn't fit. A torn tent, missing tongues, radiation, lights in the sky. There are theories but no answers, clues but no closure. Some say the truth is buried beneath decades of Soviet secrecy. Others believe it lies in science yet to be discovered, or forces we'll never understand. Perhaps the mountain still holds its secret, frozen in time, waiting for someone to uncover it, or to leave it alone. What do you think happened? Now it's your turn. Do you believe it was a natural disaster? A military experiment gone wrong? Or something out of this world? Drop your theory in the comments below. Let's solve this mystery together. We read every single one. Don't miss what's coming next. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, there's more where that came from. This is just the beginning. Every week, we explore the strangest true stories, unsolved events, and chilling realities from alien probes to government time travel programs.